Hey friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda and today we are doing a seed haul. So over the past few weeks I have been ordering and stocking up on some seeds that I need for the season. I went ahead and I went through all of my old seeds to see what I had left, what I needed. Since I am doing a plant sale this year, I did take that into account with my inventory because I knew I would need a few other things to sell, as well as I needed to up my medicinal herb game this season. And there were a few that I didn't have and that I really wanted. This year I ordered from Haas Tools, Botanical Interests, Baker Creek Rare Seeds, and Rose Mountain Herbs, which is a really good website if you're looking for medicinal herbs, just because they have a huge variety. They all have their scientific names as well as kind of details in how to grow them. So let's hop into this seed haul. So I did go ahead and actually section out all of my seed packets into whatever variety, like groups that they are in. So like peppers, tomatoes, medicinal herbs. So I'm actually going to start off with my pepper plants. This year I didn't purchase quite as many as I did in years past, but I knew I wanted to put an emphasis on sweeter peppers. So this gardening season, I'm going to do just a few hot pepper plants and more sweet peppers. So I did find a few varieties of hotter peppers that I was really intrigued by. So I have the Durango Gallo pepper. I honestly don't remember exactly what it was about this pepper that caught my eye. It may be just the color of it. So I got this guy, and then I did order some more poblano peppers. I absolutely love poblano peppers, and one of the goals for this season is actually to can up some chili starter, which was a goal of mine for last year, or this last season, but this year it's going to be the year. So I got more poblano peppers. And then I found another variety of jalapenos on Haas Tools. There is more information on these seeds on their website. They just do a basic planting instructions and when to expect a harvest on those plants on their seed packets. The next pepper I got was the Jigsaw pepper from Baker Creek. This is just a beautiful, stunning pepper. The leaves are variegated in a purple, white, green, and the fruit, the peppers are about the spiciness level of a jalapeno, but they come in varying shades depending on how long you let them mature on the plant. They are just really, really, really pretty. Apparently this plant is a stocky, short plant, and it does well in containers, borders, and or beds. So I love this. This looks super cool. I'm definitely going to be trying to put one of these peppers on my front porch, as well as I think this is one of the varieties that I'm going to be putting in my plant cell. I did get another pack of Datil. This was one of those free pepper seed packets that Baker Creek does. Once you buy a certain amount of seeds from them, they will give you a free seed packet, and as you keep buying more seeds, they'll give you another one, depending on how many seed packets you end up buying. So I did have a ton of these, I think, from last season. I think I got 2 free seed packs of the Datils. I have so many of these peppers in my freezer right now, and this plant was a super big producer, and they are extremely spicy. So do keep that in mind. They are really, really pretty plants, the fruit are. So these were the 2 of my sweet peppers. I think I had another one, but maybe not. So I got the Ajvarski. I'm so sorry that I probably just butchered that. So I was super excited about this pepper in particular because it is actually a Macedonian roasting pepper, and has peppers that are 6 to 7 inches that are this brilliant red color, and they're known to be made into Ajvar relish that can be canned. And I thought that sounded phenomenal, especially like if you made homemade hummus and you topped this on top of your hummus because it is a sweeter pepper, or if you made that into a relish and added onto like an au jus beef sandwich, or you know, the likes of that. I just think that it would be a really versatile pepper, and it sounded really good to me. So the next one I have is the Yellow Monster. This is just basically a bell pepper, just massive. This one can grow to up to 8 inches long and 4 inches wide. And since my bell peppers have not done phenomenal, I decided why not put the the best, biggest growing pepper plant I could find in my garden. So this year I'm also going to be limiting how many pepper plants I have. I grew a lot last year, and I think I'm going to pare it down just a bit and see if I can get a higher production year versus more variety. So this is another one of those ones that I'm going to be doing instead of my typical just Cal Wonder pepper or Golden Wonder, you know. So the next grouping is the tomatoes. So this year I found out that I do like some tomatoes straight off of the plant, and so because of that, some of these varieties were ones that I had actually purchased like a bundle of tomato plants last season that ended up not making it to my house. I don't know, I think it was just an error with like UPS or something. So I never got them, but this year I got some of those varieties that I had intended on growing last year, so I'm going to grow them this year. Plus I got a few other ones for production purposes. So I found a Bush Mountain Merit tomato. Bush varieties just mean that they're determinate varieties. They're going to have a set growth that they're going to get to, and then they're going to stop. Most of those Bush varieties or determinate varieties will put all of their fruit on almost at the exact same time, versus a indeterminate tomato will just continue to produce throughout the season for as long as pests and disease don't take it out, or cold weather. So I got this Mountain Merit tomato. It just looked pretty good. Nice big plump cherry, not cherry, but just a nice big beefsteak variety of tomato that is just purely red. The next one I got was some more Roma tomatoes. These are a Bush variety or a determinate variety as well. This will be good for tomato paste, barbecue sauce, ketchup, those kind of things that just need a really nice meaty tomato that doesn't quite have as much of the gel on the inside. So this one also said it is a very heavy producer, so I was excited about that. So it's going to be awesome to have some more varieties of red tomatoes. I also got the Principe Bourgeoisie. This one is a cherry tomato that is renowned for being used for sun drying, which I really wanted to make sun-dried tomatoes this last season. I did decide to put all of my cherry tomatoes in the freezer, and I think if I were intending to do sun-dried tomatoes, there are ways of doing sun drying in your oven. So I think next time I won't put my tomatoes in the freezer if I want to get them sun-dried. These ones are, or this variety right here is a determinate variety, which again means that those tomatoes are going to get set all at the same time. So I'm not going to have to wait for enough of a harvest to then do a batch. Hopefully these will all be ripened at the same time, so I can just do a batch when I do a harvest. So these are 1 to 2 ounce grape-shaped fruit with a dry flesh. So I'm excited because I love sun-dried tomatoes. So the next one is the Queen of the Night. This has a beautiful purpling. This is caused from anthocyanins in the flesh. When it gets exposed to sunlight, those chemicals in the tomato turn purple. The anthocyanin turns it purple. So this is a indeterminate. It is purple blushed, richly flavored, 3 to 3.5 ounce fruit. The plants are indeterminate, compact, and reach 5 to 5.5 feet. And I just honestly thought this was a really beautiful tomato. So I got a ton of cherry tomatoes this year, just because I had experimented with tomatoes and found that I did like a few of those cherry tomato varieties, I decided to step into some of those so I could try some more. So another one that I got from Baker Creek was the black strawberry. Again, it has the purpling from the anthocyanins. And the flavor is described as decadent and indulgent with perfect sweet and tart balanced flavor. It's a good choice for gardeners and market farmers. This is also a indeterminate variety. And I just thought it was another cool variety, and also super excited to be growing so many more cherry tomatoes. So this is one of the ones, the next three are actually ones that I intended on getting last season. The first one is Berry's Crazy Cherry, and I have heard so much about this tomato that is wild. This is a single cluster of these tomatoes. So if you guys were to grow this at home, instead of getting a cluster of 2 to 5 tomatoes on one bunch, this is what you would get. And it is just simply and crazy how prolific this plant is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go ahead and try it out. So this is an indeterminate variety with yellow beaked cherries that are sweet and apparently really great on salads. The next one I have is the Napa Chardonnay, which is also another beautiful yellow cherry tomato that's indeterminate. And this one is said to be one of the best tasting, as most seed packets will stay best tasting. So I was excited about this one just because, again, another variety of cherry tomato to try out. And then this is the last variety that I'm sure some of you have already heard about, is the Brad's Atomic Grape. This one is also an indeterminate variety. Wild Boar Farms, that's the company that I purchased the previous bundle from, and I don't think it was Wild Boar Farms' fault on it not getting to my house. I think it was just the delivery system. But this one has crack-resistant cherries in totally wild Technicolor shades and stripes, extraordinarily sweet, just amazing. So again, beautiful shades of purple, red, yellow, some oranges, and some dark purples. So I've heard a lot of really good things about the Brad's Atomic Grape, and I knew I wanted to try it. The next set, if you can hear that, my dog is outside enjoying our balcony. My next set of seeds are my cut flowers. So this year I kind of got things that I know I liked from the previous garden. All of these are new varieties to me. It's just, I've grown zinnias, I've grown snapdragons, I've grown rudbeckia, but these are just different variations of those. So I actually completely depleted my entire inventory of zinnias, and this is the only one I could find. So I got the giant purple zinnia. I love zinnias. They are kind of common around gardening nowadays. So you can always find a lot of different varieties of them. But I got these guys. Honestly, I love purple in my garden. It's one of my favorite colors for a flower. So I got the purple giant zinnia from Botanical Interests. And then we got the orange wonder snapdragons. I actually have not grown these from seed. Last year, my sister gave me some starts, I think, of the day and night variety from Botanical Interests. And I absolutely loved those. Those were also like a purpley hue. But I wanted to go ahead and expand my snapdragon collection just a little bit because I absolutely loved them so much. And since these are perennial here in my zone, the ones that I got last season from my sister should still be there this summer. So I'm going to add in the orange wonder. These make a beautiful flower to add into a bouquet. And they are just super prolific. We had a bloom of them in the I want to say the early summer, and then also end of summer towards the fall. We got another flush of those. So these are really, really pretty. The next one, I got the Black Prince. Again, that dark purpley hue. These ones are from Baker Creek. And very dark crimson flowers. They are a tender perennial, so they do die back once that frost comes. And then I did want to go ahead and get more filler for my bouquets. And so I got some stock. I heard, I think it was Becky from Acre Homestead had done stock flowers this last season, I think it was. And I was very intrigued by how fluffy they are. And I also found them in some beautiful colors, some like antique-y kind of colors. So I got vintage brown and the Cantor Credo Seto the Chantered Seto apricot. So sorry. So again, these make a really beautiful filler. They have sweet fragrance and they are a 90 to 100 days. They make really excellent cut flowers and apparently the blooms are edible. So that is kind of cool. The next flower I wanted to add into this was the Black Devil Pansy. And I just think that this color is so incredible. Plus I think it will make a really nice filler in some empty spots in the garden, because I think that having flowers in your garden is something that everyone should absolutely do, because they're freaking beautiful. And of course, pansies are edible, so those are edible. The next one I got is the Rudbeckia Caramel, or Caramel, depending on where you're from. I think I have the Cherry Brandy Rudbeckia in my garden right now, which is a red, purpley variety, well, mixed variety. I loved the Rudbeckia so much, so I knew I wanted to get more varieties of that in my garden. So I got this packet here. And again, these are 19 inches tall, stems are sturdy, and blooms long-lasting, making them the perfect cutting flower and a stunning display from midsummer to fall. So they have a good long lifespan of them, plus they're just brilliant. All right, so the next group are onions. And so this year, I'm really hoping that I get a successful harvest of onions. My largest onion that I've harvested to date is probably about golf ball to like in between golf ball size and baseball size. So this year I'm gonna do it a little differently. Previous years I've bought sets, which are just like the pre-started onions from like Home Depot and whatnot, and tried growing those during the summer. So I planted it during the summer. This year, I found someone, I don't remember who it was. It was just like a reel that I had passed by. And someone who is in my zone in Ohio starts their onions in January from seed. So that is what I'm going to do. So I went ahead and I invested in quite a few different varieties of onions. And these are them. Before I get into my onions, you want to be sure that you are looking at the variety or the type of onions that you're getting. So there is long day onions, there's intermediate, and then there is short day onions. Based on where you are in the region of the US at least, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're getting the type of onion that is best suited for your climate. So where I am at, I can either do intermediate, or I can do, what is it, long day? Yes, or long day onions. So I would just make sure that you do that little bit of research before you go investing in some onions, just to make sure that you're giving yourself the best, absolute best chance of growing some onions successfully, which I would really hope for you guys to be able to do that successfully, as I am also striving towards that. So the first onion variety that I have is the Zimbroon Shallot Onion. This is a sweet onion that is kind of a cross between a shallot and an onion. It is really great for caramelizing. It is, I honestly don't know if this one is an intermediate or a long day onion. Let me check on their website real fast. So this variety is a long day variety. And for most of my onions, I should be starting them 10 to 12 weeks before I should be planting them out. So I should have started these either today or last week on Wednesday. So I'm a little behind already, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these planted out as soon as we're done with this video. So these varieties, you start 10 to 12 weeks before transplanting, and you want to plant them out 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. So when the ground is still cold, you still have the chance for a frost, because onions are actually biennials. So they really do benefit from a cold snap in order to get that nice big bulb. So we got the Zimbrune shallot. The next is my bulb cipollone, flat of Italy. This is a beautiful red onion, or some people say purple onion. It is an intermediate day, and we will also be starting these at the same time as the other ones. So this is an Italian heirloom, has been available to gardeners since the late 1800s, so it's quite a long time. But it's hard to find in stores. The wine-colored flattened globes are 1 inch tall by about 2 to 3 inches. So they're pretty tiny onions. Their sweet flavor is delicious, fresh or cooked, perfect for roasting and grilled kebabs. My dad loves kebabs, so I might have to, if I'm successful on this, might have to bring him some. So awesome. Okay. The next variety we have is the yellow sweet Spanish. This is a yellow onion. Yellow onions tend to be sweeter than that of white onions and red onions. It is also a long day variety, and these can grow up to 1 pound each with a good storage quality. So these are going to be the ones that I would want to use last and store in my basement where it's nice and cool, dark, and use last just because they are said to store longer, which is a good thing to look at when you're thinking about growing such a large variety or such a large quantity of onions, is how you're going to be using them. Are you going to be storing them? Are you going to be preserving them right away? Whether that's in canning, dehydrating, you're going to freeze dry, you're going to freeze them. Like, there's so many different ways of preserving your food. It's good to think ahead of how you're going to use that food. Me being me, I love onions. I use onions in practically every single meal, and so I know that these are going to get used if I am successful, which fingers crossed. So the next variety I have is the yellow of Parma. I believe this is another smaller variety. It is also a long day, rare Italian variety. Oh, they're actually large golden onions with oblong globes. So they're more ovular, or ovular shaped. This late onion makes an excellent keeper. So I guess this is another variety that is a good storage onion. The next one I actually got 2 of, and that is the Alyssa Craig. This is going to be I think my 3rd year trying to grow this variety. This is because I haven't been starting them at the right time. This was developed at Culzean Castle in Scotland in the 19th century. Long day type onion that reaches massive size. Almost 5 pounds is rather common. So that is a huge onion. So we got some ginormous Alyssa Craig onions, 2 packs of those. And then last but not least is the Red of Florence. This is a long day rare Italian variety. I guess that is the theme for this year's onion varieties of onions, is just the rare Italian varieties. This is a torpedo shaped bright red onion for spring or fall planting, very mild and sweet. So to contrast this, I actually, I still have all of my onion seeds from years past. Some of these are from 2023. I have one as old as 2021. Yes, most of these are from last year. So, germination for seeds. The sell-by date does not mean that your seeds are bad. That does not mean that your seed germination rate, how well the germination rate is. The sell-by date on your seed packets does not mean that you have to throw away your seeds after the year is over. Most varieties, like tomatoes, flowers, peppers, those guys do fairly well with keeping a very long time, especially if you keep them in a cool, dark place. Onion seeds are one of those varieties or one of those types that their germination rate will decrease after every year. So that is why I did purchase new onion seeds, but I do have a few in here that are repeats. So I can actually go ahead and do a little experiment to see how much the germination rate is different. So I've got an Alyssa Craig and also the yellow Parma, but then I have 2 Globo onions, a ruby red, the Walla Walla, which I think is one of the most common onion varieties, sweet white Spanish, and then this is just a bunching onion, which is actually empty. So I'm going to be doing a little experiment later on my channel just to see what the germination rate, or how much that germination rate decreases after a year. Moving on, so tons and tons of onion seeds to be done this year. And then I think this is just kind of a mixed bag. So I'll just take them out here. So the first variety I have is the China Jade cucumber. Last year I did not grow a single cucumber plant, and that was because I had such an abundant year in 2021. 2021 I had such a large cucumber harvest that I still have pickles in my pantry. Now my pickles are dwindling. So I now know that I love relish, sweet relish, and then I love bread and butter pickles. Those are my go-to grabs when it comes to pickles. Dill pickles, not my favorite. I probably have used only a handful of my jars of my dill pickle, while I have, I think, 1 jar of banana, or not banana bread, but the bread and butter pickles. And I think my last jar of relish is in my fridge. So I wanted to try this variety of the China Jade cucumber because it has apparently an unmatched sweetness, and it's a very great snacking cucumber, popular cucumber from northern China, and it is a long, slender, thin-skinned fruit. So I thought this would be an interesting variety to try for pickling, because I could make some beautiful little, you know, whole pickles with these guys. So I thought that one looked really interesting. And then I've got a few melons and watermelons. I have yet to be successful with watermelons or melons. So this is going to be another year of trying it again. I got the Petit Gris d'Iran. I got the Petit Gris d'Irans. I got the Petit Gris d'Iran, and this, I want to say it correctly, but I don't want to sound like a nerd. Okay, the Petit Gris d'Irans. This is a French variety, and if I were more up to it, I'd try my best to pronounce it in French. Anyway, so this guy is a fine French variety in the best quality and is the favorite melon of the French melon expert and author Bruno Defay. Is a dense 2-pound fruit with orange flesh and superbly sweet, flavorful, and perfumed. So I'm super excited about this guy. I love cantaloupe. This looks like cantaloupe. I love cantaloupe. So I really, really hope we get some cantaloupe this year. Another variety that I'm trying is the Moon and Stars. I've heard a lot of really good things about this variety of watermelon. It has a really, really interesting rind on it. It's a legendary and beloved heirloom, originally introduced by Peter Henderson and Co. in 1926. Can grow up to 40 pounds. It's a green spangled and gold, stunning and delicious. Which just, I mean, I love watermelon. I love all fruit. I love all the veggies. I love all the things I can grow. Okay, so I love weird looking pumpkins so much. All right, so this next variety is the Gallo d'Azine, which actually means the peanut pumpkin, which I think is incredibly fitting when you look at that picture of that guy. Those look like little peanuts. So d'Azine is actually the province of France that this actually originated. This is a French heirloom. I think it was mentioned in an article in the 1800s in France, notably for its exterior, its little weird peanut looking lumps on it. So this is a 10 to 15 pound fruit salmon, peach colored, heavily warted, and ideal for soups and baking, which I make the pie when it comes to Thanksgiving. So being able to use a homegrown pumpkin for those pies just makes them that much better. So super excited about this guy, especially since it just looks so stinking cool to me. I am determined to have a better squash year. This year was tomatoes. This year was all about the tomatoes and the cut flowers. I'm really hoping that we get more squash, summer squash in particular. I grew, I think, four zucchini this year. And that got ruined because I had a swarm of hornets. No, not hornets, wasps. Is it wasps? Yeah, I had a hive of wasps. No, I had a hive of hornets decide to make a nest in the bed that had my squash. And so for about a week and a half, I did not go by that bed. I actually stayed out of my garden quite a lot because it turns out I'm quite allergic to them. And I swelled so much from one single hornet, wasp, whatever it was. Oh, it was a yellow jacket. One yellow jacket getting me. I know that they can sting multiple times because their stingers are not barbed. So when they sting you, their barb does not fall off. It, it's still good to go again. So this year we're going to try this Gulliver and Schleichner custard. This is German, I'm sure. Yeah. So I'm so sorry. Unique variety from Geitlersbin, Germany. It is a clear lemon yellow patty pan with a bizarre twist. Fruit is oddly flattened, flavorful, and prolific. So prolific is what I want when I'm saying I really, really want some delicious squash. So we're gonna try this guy out. And then I did get a few herbs that are not medicinal. I got the orange yellow thyme. This is essentially a perennial. It's a perennial here in my zone. It's a fragrant perennial, top choice for baskets, rock gardens, or any location in need of a hardy, scented, creeping herb. Perfect spiller herb for containers. It also makes a low-growing ground cover that can tolerate light foot traffic, which I imagine if you step on it, it's going to release more of that scent, which is going to be divine. So we got the orange yellow thyme. Then we got the basil lettuce leaf. This is a huge, huge, huge variety of leaf for basil. So these guys can actually be used for like lettuce wraps instead if you're looking for a little twist on a lettuce wrap. These are a Japanese basil with 3 to 5 inch leaves. Great flavor. So they are beautiful. And I think I bought a plant start of this from Funky's. It's a local greenhouse to me last year. So I bought seeds this year because I did really enjoy it. We got another free seed packet from Baker Creek. This one is just the typical Genovese basil. And it's an Italian heirloom. Popular with cooks, makes excellent pesto, tolerates numerous harvests, large leaves, aromatic, and tender. And then Botanical Interest gave me a thank you lettuce musclin mix. This is just a lettuce leaf mix of lettuces. You could actually, because this is a mix, make sure like you could just plant these, one every 3 inches or so and get a better, bigger size lettuce or even a head of lettuce. Or you could sow them pretty close together and get a baby mix of lettuce. And then I've got the Yeti Cool. That's probably not how you pronounce that. Another free seed lettuce packet from Baker Creek. This is an ancient variety that has been grown by urban farmers near modern-day Istanbul, Turkey. Since Byzantine times, this variety has been recognized by the Ark of Taste as a beloved culinary symbol of Istanbul's centuries-old urban gardens. A romaine type with long leaves, a crisp center, and white seeds. So, this one looks pretty interesting. I love romaine, so probably really enjoy that one. Okay. So for years I've been trying to find a good variety of sugar snap peas. So the ones that you can eat the pods and the seeds. So this year I finally found one. I was rummaging through Baker Creek's seed catalog, which I love to do when it is nice and cold outside and the garden is long dead, just to get myself a little bit more jazzed up for the season to come. And I found the Sugar Bond peas. These ones are a 55-day variety, delightful dwarf variety, matures early, plants spring or fall, produces sublimely sweet 3-inch pods borne on 1 to 2 foot tall plants, so not very tall. Produces mega yields of crispy, crunchy, and sweet peas that are both edible pods and peas. Early high yielder, is tidy and prolific. So these sound like a really great variety for pots, for the green stock, you know, someplace that you can kind of just tuck away and be happy with it being there because it's not going to take up much space. And then lastly, I wanted to find a good variety of green beans. So this I thought was a good way of doing so. So the first one I got is the French fillet bush bean. So this is a determinate variety, and basically the bush beans will all produce at the exact same time. It'll get flushed with beans and then it's done. Other beans you can leave, like the indeterminate varieties or the pole varieties, you can leave to, you know, the vine will keep growing, and as it grows, it'll produce beans as it goes. So you'll get a flush, and then a flush, and then a flush. These ones will produce all of its beans at once, which means that these would be ideal for canning, because if I plant multiple of these bush beans, theoretically, I should get enough beans to go ahead and then can, which is the goal for this year. My boyfriend's father loves canned green beans, and so I'm really hoping that I can grow these, can them, and then gift them to him. It was something that I think his family did or canned a lot of when he was growing up, and I think that it would just be a really nice, kind gift for him. So we're going to try those guys out and see how those go. And then this is how I decided I was going to do a little trial run of beans. Botanical Interest has a trio blend of these beans. I'm pretty sure it shows which beans are which. Yes. The packet includes Blue Lake 274, which is an heirloom favorite noted for excellent flavor and texture, fresh or frozen, which is the white seed. Then we have the resistant Cherokee Wax, a vigorous plant producing bright yellow pods, which is the black seed. And then we have that Purple Queen, which is a glossy, deep purple pods with tan that turn forest green when cooked. And that is a brown seed. And of course, Botanical Interest always includes recipes on the interior of their seed package, which is just another part of their packaging, which I think is just brilliant, is utilizing the entirety of the space that they have available to them to give information. So, when you open this guy up, I kind of messed that up. You guys can kind of see how there's all that writing on the interior of this packet. So we've got in the kitchen, how to store, ways to cook, a recipe, which is the 3-bean salad, which rightfully suited for the 3-bean blend we have here. And then we have information about the different varieties, optimal growing conditions, and any special instructions. And we have our beans, which fairly easy. You can tell these apart. Oops, throwing beans. So those are my beans. So my next grouping of seeds is going to be my medicinal herbs. So I'm not going to really go into exactly what these are utilized for. I'm just going to go through the very surface level basics, name kind of thing like that. So this is valerian. This is a clumping herbaceous perennial. And strictly medicinal seeds kind of gives a basic rundown on how to go ahead and plant that, when to plant it, and how to space it, and then as well as what parts of the plant would be used. The next is comfrey, and this is actually one of those ones that you may have growing in your backyard. This is considered a weed to some. So this is comfrey. It's a herbaceous perennial as well. It has purple flowered form, prettily purple flowered form, sometimes classified as such. The next one I have is lemongrass, and this is a ginormous grass type plant. So these have really long petals or blades of grass for lemongrass. It's an evergreen perennial. I'm not quite sure that this is a perennial in my area, so I will have to look on that. It may just be good for the season here in my zone. But these are super pungent in smell. I hear all the time about people just, you simply walk by it, you rub your fingers through it, and you smell like lemongrass for a while. The next one I have is passion flower. This one is a beautiful vining herbaceous perennial, and these produce beautiful, beautiful, super unique, exotic purple flowers, and they really do well by trellising. So if you have a space that needs a beautiful vining plant, passion flower is going to be that for you. The next one I have is mullein or mullein. This is a biennial, which means that not this season will it have flowered, but next season we will get a beautiful yellow flower that is about 6 feet tall. And it prefers full to part sun. This one is actually perennial to my zone, which is awesome. Excuse you. Got a cat sneeze. So marshmallow is one that you may be able to recognize. This is actually indeed the same plant that produces marshmallows that we know and love on s'mores. It is actually produced from the root system of this plant, but it is also a really great ornamental plant as well. It is a herbaceous perennial, and I'm pretty sure it produces a white flower with potentially a purple in it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that it can be used as ornamental as well. The next one is feverfew. This is a perennial for zones 5 through 8. It's a herbaceous perennial flower with white petals and a yellow center. It does look quite a lot like chamomile. So there is a way to tell the difference between feverfew and chamomile. Feverfew has a flat center. That yellow center is flat, and there are no gaps between the petals. While chamomile, we actually have chamomile here, has a round bubbled yellow center, and there can be gaps between those petals. The difference between what the benefits from these come from is that chamomile gets its health benefits from the flower itself, while feverfew, you get the benefits from the leaves. So this is another one that I was super excited to add to my collection. Next one we have is ashwagandha. This is actually a tropical perennial, so this is not perennial to my zone because I do not live in a tropical zone. It is grown as an annual in temperate gardens. Hello, that's me. I'm sure all of you know about catnip. And as you guys have heard in my video, if not, I have 2 cats and they just go berserk for catnip. And it's so funny because they both react to this herb in totally different ways. one gets super chill and the other one just goes buck wild. So catnip can actually be used in teas for us humans, or just dried or fresh, given to your little cat friends. So again, Haas Tools kind of just does the when to plant, how to plant, and when it should be ready for harvest. And then this is actually white yarrow. This is Achillea millefolium, which is the Latin scientific name for this yarrow. Haas Tools does have the scientific name of both of these herbs on their website, but not on the packet itself. So I love, love, love yarrow. Last year, one of my favorite varieties that I grew was the Colorado blend. Was it the Colorado blend? There was one variety of yarrow that I grew last year that just smells phenomenal, and it is perennial in my zone, so I think I will forever have yarrow in my gardens. Next one I got was broadleaf sage. This is Salvia officinalis. This is a perennial in my zone, and it has a strong, unique flavor and aroma. Enhances many dishes. Gray-green foliage makes a striking ornamental in borders and rock gardens too. Sage is great for vegetables, potatoes, soups, and stews. It's supposedly deer resistant, which I always have a pack of, or a pack? I don't know what the plural grouping of deer would be called. But I have a bunch of deer that live in my backyard, the woods back there. So we'll see if that is actually true. Next one, we have vulgare oregano, which is the scientific term again. Oregano is a really great culinary herb, but you can also use it in tinctures and oils, so many applications. So this one is a perennial. It's essential for Greek and Italian cooking. Beautiful and delicious, savory flavoring herb, also medicinal. I actually ended up getting 2 packets of this. This is Tulsi Holy Basil. This one I have not had luck with growing. Last year I think I planted 4 or 5 different types or varieties of basil. And this is the only one that would not grow for me. And I've heard so many wonderful things about how this smells. But this is also one that has medicinal purposes as well. So using in teas, as well as a handful of other things. It is known as the Queen of Herbs in India. Tulsi is considered to be sacred. This is a type of holy basil, is also known as Kapoor or temperate basil. It is distinguished by its bubblegum scent, interesting, frost-tolerant and fast-growing nature. Its health-promoting properties are said to help combat stress and other medical concerns. If allowed to flower, it is a bee magnet and also may reseed. Grow indoors for a continuous supply of fresh leaves throughout the winter. So I got 2 packs of this because this is another one of those ones that I'm planning on selling for a plant sale. And then I got 2 packets of rosemary, which I love. It's a perennial. It is a tender perennial, which means it will die back with the cold. And it is robust with aroma and a very versatile herb. Complements meats, vegetables, and brings in unique piney flavor to breads, and blends well with other herbs. This is one of those herbs that I just absolutely love putting on grilled cheese. So I love putting rosemary and then also smoked paprika on the exterior of my grilled cheese when they're cooking. I absolutely think it's such a great flavor. I honestly was trying to find, I don't know if any of you have heard of barbecue rosemary, but barbecue rosemary is one of my favorite. I typically will always buy a start from, I think it's Funky's, or if I find it somewhere else, I'll pick it up from there. But I did plant a barbecue rosemary on my garden last season. I put it in a spot that it got hardly any sun, so it did not get very big. But if it we'll see if it comes back, because sometimes it depends on the variety, whether or not they are perennial to my area. I don't think that the barbecue rosemary is perennial to my area, but this one is, which is perfectly fine with me. So I'll get a good harvest of rosemary this next season. The next herb I got is thyme. This is the English variety. It is a perennial. It's a savory herb that no cook should be without. It has a subtle woodsy flavor that complements a variety of foods, staple herb to chefs, and one of the primary ingredients of bouquet garni. Not sure what that is. I'll have to look that up. But this is definitely one of those ones that will, practically all of your herbs, if you let them flower, the bees and pollinators will just flock to them. So we got some English thyme, and then I decided that we were going to plant some more echinacea. So this is the purple coneflower echinacea. And this is a perennial to my area. It's also a medicinal herb. It's a treasured heirloom wildflower native to the eastern U.S. Blooms for a month or more beginning in midsummer. The pinkish purple petals of the daisy-like flowers surround a large dark brown cone. Petals begin to droop as the cone enlarges and fills with seeds. Attracts birds in the fall and winter. Echinacea grows with a variety of conditions and is excellent for water-wise gardeners. Perfect for fresh-cut flowers. All parts of echinacea are edible and the roots are used for medicinal purposes. Long-lived perennial in zones 3 through 8, grown as an annual in warmer zones. Another one that is said to be deer resistant. Plus it is pretty to look at. So this one is the Zlatilan chamomile. I honestly decided that I was just going to fill every corner of my garden with chamomile because I just love it so much. And I did not harvest nearly enough to make chamomile tea. So here I am buying chamomile tea bagged from the grocery store because I could not harvest enough. And during the winter, I am a avid tea drinker, especially when it comes to bedtime tea. So more chamomile it is for me because this is a calming medicinal plant. It is an annual, but it easily self-sows. So if you guys sow this once, the likelihood of it coming back next season are very high if you have spent flowers that have gone to seed. This is a Polish variety, has a wonderful aroma, and is used to make teas studied for its health benefits. So again, it's a calming tea. There's a reason why it is used in bedtime teas. And then the last one that I got is some calendula, and I got the official version of calendula. I did make some hand salve not too long ago using some calendula that I had planted that was not the official scientific version of Calendula officinalis. So I got the official calendula. Basically, from what I read, is that it didn't matter what variety of calendula it was because it would still have the sticky resin that is known to calendula. It's just that this variety is known to produce so much more of that sticky tackiness that is known by this flower. So it produces its bright yellow daisy-like blooms. It is a part of the daisy family, so that does make sense. And it catches your eye, and exceptionally resin-rich petals of Rosanna will delight herbalists. Calendula is very frost-tolerant and may even be seen blooming in snow. Ooh, cool. Calendula petals have been used for medicinal purposes for hundreds of years and are also edible. Fairly drought-tolerant plants attract pollinators and deer-resistant. All right, friends, and that is my 2024 seed haul. Now, I may end up picking up a few odds and ends here and there. I still know that I need or want to get some eggplant seeds because honestly, I don't think I have. I have grown eggplant once before, and it was a start from some greenhouse somewhere here in Cincinnati. But this is practically all that I will be purchasing for this year. And again, some of these I grabbed multiple of because I'm doing a plant sale. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to check out my last year's seed haul, I will go ahead and pop that up here for you. It is a lot of fun doing unboxings as I get excited every time one of these packages show up. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic time planning out your garden or playing in your garden if you're in that season, because some of us in the world are in garden season. Meanwhile, it is dark, dreary, and cold here. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.